Fighting games have a knack for keeping characters in a constant cycle of evolution. Whether it's original characters that have existed since the beginning of a series, or a character introduced later on with a new twist, they keep improving their in-universe skills, making their utility better, in most cases, for gameplay. Personally, I have been through a lot of characters in the short time that I've played fighting games. Whether it's Ken and DJ in Street Fighter 6, or multiple characters in Tekken 8, I have found so many that I've enjoyed playing, even if it's only for a session or two. Difficult characters like Heihachi Mishima in Tekken 7 have nearly always been my choice. To me, the more complex a character's gameplay is, the better I feel about playing them, as I feel like figuring them out is a success in itself. I'm not sure if this is my inner competitiveness being stronger than any other part of my personality, but the desire to pick a broken, overpowered character hasn't really vibed with me since I went on what I felt was an undeserved 15-win streak with Feng Wei several months ago. Along with that, I also tend to choose characters that I really connect with. And for that reason, I have chosen a difficult psychopath. He really resonates with me. Just kidding, don't tell my doctor. This brings us to today, where I'm playing among the most challenging characters in both Tekken and fighting games in general, Bryan Fury. There are many people who view him as an edgy, insane psychopath, but I think that his character perfectly contrasts with his gameplay. Bryan being completely insane and needing some of the highest dedication to the game is an amazing design choice. First of all, let's talk about his executions. Bryan's moveset is based around his two stances. Both of them are quarter circle commands that trigger different moves, and his Snake Eyes stock, which grants him more moves and more powerful versions of other moves. Along with all of this, many players struggle to learn quarter circle inputs as they can be quite difficult to teach your hand to do. However, I spent 6 months playing Ken and Ryu using their fireballs, so quarter circle inputs are something that comes pretty natural to me at this point. His quarter circle forward 1 is one of his few normal hit launchers, but it can grant some pretty insane damage. This move can also be done while rising, but it's much more convenient to do it from standing using the quarter circle forward input. To make life even harder for those with already consistent quarter circles, Tekken also has it so that command moves such as those are not able to be buffered, meaning you must wait for the recovery animation to finish before you can even do the first part of the input. Your execution needs to be on point or you'll drop combos and guaranteed follow-ups, especially with Bryan, whose moveset heavily relies on those command inputs for damage. His other two normal hit launchers are his up forward 4 and his forward 4-1, both of which are only useful in certain situations as they are fairly slow and aren't as rewarding as some of his other launchers. His jet uppercut can launch on normal hits and is safe on block, but its command is unorthodox, as it's a forward neutral back input and is quite difficult to time correctly as it requires both a precise and fast input. It also doesn't have the greatest range, so I haven't used it a lot personally. And don't even get me started on the taunt variation of this move, which is one of the hardest executions in Tekken. However, one of the toughest parts of his kit are not his normal hit launchers, as they aren't his main game plan. His best launchers are his counter hit launchers, which are already harder to use as you must be predictive, along with being able to recognize when the counters will land. He has many of them, so I won't name them all, but they are his main utility when it comes to playing as him. This prediction adds one of the many layers to Tekken in general, and to Bryan's specific gameplay. This is why I will often throw his standing 3+4 attack multiple times against lower level players, as they are more likely to press after the first one, though this hasn't commonly worked and I should stop doing that. As I mentioned before, something I haven't been able to demonstrate too much at the ranks I've played is his game plan. As I mentioned, one of his biggest challenges is that his launchers are mostly based around counter hits, so landing them against unpredictable opponents becomes immediately more difficult. Plus, you have to mix up your pokes, strings, and frame traps, another skill I'm still learning as I've been able to autopilot and spam frame traps against lower level players. Another issue that I've had in my gameplay is punishment. And because of the difficulty of Bryan, many of the standard inputs work differently in his kit than most characters. Most of the roster have a 13 frame mid poke with that down forward 1 input, but Bryan's is a 15 frame hit confirm into guaranteed damage. Because of his differences, punishment is something that I haven't worried about too much, because I haven't really reached the level where leaving that damage on the table is super detrimental to winning. I do need to start at least throwing my 10 frame punishment to get some damage, as that could make things easier once I start trying to fight in mid ranks again. Another mind puzzle with Bryan is that his whiff punishment isn't immediately obvious to someone newer to Tekken like me. It took me forever to find out that forward 4-1 is a launcher, much less think about using it as a whiff punish. One of the things that I have been very proud of, however, is my ability to land his combos. They take a lot of execution and they can be easily messed up by Tekken's third dimension, so to be able to land these massive combos only accessible through consistent execution is something I'm proud of. Plus, as I accrue more knowledge about the game and get a better sense of what I should do in any situation, my ability to do combos has only increased with that, and I've been able to make even awkward situations possible to navigate. He also has one of the best heat smashes in the game, as they recently gave it a massive buff. The damage alone is enough to sell it, as most characters don't get 55 damage on normal hit with their heat smash. Plus, his has the ability to break floors. Add his wall carry onto it, this can make full combos with big damage possible. His heat smash is also plus 15 on block, which makes it insanely useful since not a lot of people know about this change. Since the recent patch, and after only a bit of ranked, I have gotten so much utility out of it. This almost makes the move better on block since if an opponent presses at all, you can guarantee massive damage on a counter hit launcher. There are no moves in the game which can beat that, even Yoshimitsu's flash. And as it stands, you can't even sidestep his back 1, which is 20 frames because of this frame advantage. Overall, I think Bryan is a super unique character. His mechanical structure is one of Tekken's best, and I think having a high-risk, high-reward playstyle is a great thing. I would argue that there are harder characters to play, but there aren't many, and that's why I'm so satisfied that I can play him at even a mediocre level. I think he's also perfectly balanced, as his knowledge checks are only abusable at lower levels, and his high damage is only useful with good execution and setups. At the end of the day, it isn't always about their mechanical structure or if the character fits a certain person's mindset or playstyle. It's really about whether the character makes you feel awesome for playing them and helping you build a better connection with the game. And after 200 hours, I can safely say, this has been the character that has tethered me to Tekken 8. And hopefully, everyone who's bought the game and wants to play it can find that character too. As long as it isn't Eddie. Oh, so here's a bear with a fish.